You need to try and pick off the units as... Look at the shields on the Martin.
Oh my god, the drone's gonna take him!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Metalopolis, the city in the sky, the city that never sleeps. You want to know why it doesn't sleep, Apollo?
Why?
Because it's constantly exploding.
That's true. There's a lot of action on top of these rooftops.
No kidding. I bring you the one and only mOoNan. He is in the red trunks, and he is from Team FXO to the west of the Metalopolis, versus his opponent, the one and only ThorZaIN. He is in the blue trunks from Team Mousesports, and he is to the east.
I'm sure there's a karaoke bar somewhere on this map. And
I think there is, actually, yeah.
And I'm pretty sure they dislike having tank battles on top when they're trying to sing.
To be fair, I think it's a blessing for everyone that they are drowned out by the tank battles. There is a cafe here. Yeah, I wouldn't want to eat there, honestly. Looks kind of seedy.
Yeah, and especially below ThorZaIN, that's not where you want to be.
No, it is not. Once he starts running out with those Thors, it's going to start rattling just a little bit down there.
Indeed, and we'll have to see, will he use Thors in this matchup? Not really used too much. Sometimes they do come out in the late stages of the game when we come into a lot of Viking wars, you know, adding in a couple of Thors actually can change tides of the battle. But will we even get to that stage? And the way ThorZaIN played game one, that might not happen.
Yeah, it's a possibility. I actually heard it was a part of his contract. It's like, if you want to continue to be called ThorZaIN in Team Mousesports, you must use Thors every now and again. Otherwise, it's kind of a signature move by ThorZaIN. But as you said, in TBT, the uses are a little limited.
I wonder what mOoNan's trademark is. Lights out, shine time. I don't know.
I have no idea. I wonder if he has some kind of entrance theme music. I think that's actually something that esports really needs, entrance theme music. Yeah, man, entrance music and music videos like the wrestlers. That would be fantastic. I remember actually one of the matches that we had in a previous tournament was a long time ago now. TT1 asked me to play the Mortal Kombat theme for his entrance music.
Mortal Kombat!
Yeah, he did. I think he won that game, actually, so it obviously helped him.
That's funny. There's got to be some AC/DC playing for ThorZaIN, I think.
Yeah, I would think a bit of Hell March maybe, but I suppose that's Goody's theme song, so we can't really do that. So mirror builds right now, which is why we're not talking about anything whatsoever, and a gas picked up for both. We've got a barracks picked up for both, orbital command, and neither looking for a fast expansion on this map.
No, it's kind of hard to take it. The map is not so big, and especially there's a lot of harassment builds that can come through, and both players are just going to go for this refinery. But looking at this, SCVs are not going to be able to get in at all, are denied scouting, so neither player knows exactly what's going on. And
intriguing.
Back to the point of the natural, obviously the natural's very wide as well, very hard to defend against any Hellions. Hellions are very viable in this matchup, Blue Flame or normal, so it'll be very hard to defend against that. And we are going to see both players just added on the factory. No second refinery yet, though.
Interesting. Could be a Hellion play, potentially, with only one gas. You never know.
Yeah, very well could be. I guess the most popular build from here is some kind of factory expand or Hellions, I guess. We'll have to see where this goes.
Yeah, ThorZaIN is moving out right there, and mOoNan actually adding on a reactor right here, but the timing seems a little bit late for it to be for that factory.
Yeah, we'll have to see what that will be. He might just get a Hellion first and then switch it over after
Possibly,
that.
yeah.
And looks like both players are just going to throw it down at Command Center now. Just going to get that early factory out and decide what will go from here. And also ThorZaIN adding on a reactor onto the barracks too. Might opt to switch it up, might just go for a few Marines. We'll have to see. I think in Terran in general, and especially in Terran, there are so many different opening builds for you to use.
There really, really are, and that's the crazy thing about it. ThorZaIN with an interesting positioning right here of a supply depot, probably to scout incoming drops, I would think, considering the position of his opponent. And ThorZaIN and mOoNan have both gone for the starport, so that is the classic 1-1-1 build right there.
Yeah, indeed, and we'll have to see how this will advance from here. And we are having the factory onto the, not factory onto the tech lab onto the factory. We'll have to see, will he decide to switch that up, or will he continue into Blue Flame could be viable, tanks could be viable. We'll have to see what mOoNan decides to do here.
So many possibilities right here. That really, really is. mOoNan's actually going for an early Viking right now.
That's interesting. A lot of players do open up with a Viking just for anticipation for any form of Banshee play.
What, like this one, you mean? The one that's coming up right now. So that was a good guess right there.
Yeah, and I mean, both players still have no idea what's going on. He does try to get up there, sees the expansion, sees the barracks and the reactor, but doesn't really see too much.
Yep.
And on the other hand, if I look at ThorZaIN's vision now, he's completely clueless too.
Yeah, that's not so great, and this Viking is going to shut down this early Banshee play, particularly since ThorZaIN has not gone for Cloaking Field there. So that is interesting. I would think that ThorZaIN will go out of Banshee initially, but that Banshee is not expected to do any big damage, and of course that's an early economic loss right there for ThorZaIN.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to give mOoNan the advantage to come back into this game. He's even moving around Marines into position for anything as well. But it's really interesting, both of these players playing so blindly at the moment, not really knowing what's going on. And Marine controlling the Xel'Naga Tower, very smart to do to get that extra sight range, but this Banshee is going to be going around the back while expanding as well. And now he's actually switched up and building a Raven too. So usually this is an anti-Banshee himself, going to start off with a Banshee and then get that anti-Banshee for himself down. Both players taking their expansion now.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. mOoNan has got that shut down immediately. I don't expect a lot of damage coming in here from ThorZaIN. He thought he might even pick off one SCV with that. No doubt he just wants to get some scouting information now. He knows he's doomed. Now, he's able to scout the entire base, but that was quite the expensive scout.
Indeed. And I love the fact that mOoNan's controlled both of the Xel'Naga Towers. I mean, he's not even being contested at the moment for that. I'm surprised why ThorZaIN, I mean, he's still got this Raven out, which is interesting. I don't think he really needs it, especially because he saw that the Starport wasn't in use with his tech lab or anything as he came in with that Viking. Could have cancelled it.
Yeah.
And spent more money, got that siege tech a little bit faster. And yeah, I think that's a little bit of a mistake, but don't want to judge these two players too much because they are like a million times better than me.
Well, this is very, very true. I think they're a million times better than anyone listening to this stream right now. But whatever the case, the Raven is an interesting move. Is there anything he can do with it? I mean, is it dead weight right now, or can it actually be used for something useful?
It can be used for harassment. He can like throw down auto turrets into a mineral line. That's very useful to do. Styles I've seen players use before, and it can also be used for the point defense drone if mOoNan decides to like switch up into Marauders or something.
Possibility. mOoNan rolling out right now, and as you can clearly see, ThorZaIN decides he wants to get the hell out of there. He did have a scout there. He was aware of what was coming, so he's going to roll back into a defensive posture. We're looking for a lot of energy right here on this Raven right now. It does have enough for a point defense drone. Admittedly, nothing in that force is going to trigger it, so it doesn't really matter.
Use turret if he needs to. But mOoNan is coming up to this third base now. We'll want to try to get some siege position up because his siege tech is going to finish earlier than ThorZaIN's because ThorZaIN spent a lot of gas into the Raven and Banshee.
Yeah, it's a great timing window right here for mOoNan to do big damage right here to ThorZaIN. And ThorZaIN deploying factories, and there comes the Viking that already starts to fire on that Raven. So that's driven that away. And these production buildings are going to get denied and cancelled completely. That is not a good start for ThorZaIN. It really, really is not. As mOoNan continues with the pressure, that's one extractor, refiner in fact down. Second one going down here as well. ThorZaIN is having to hold back until he gets siege mode.
Oh wow, and he's taken out both these refiners, which is really big. That's the reason why we expand to get that gas, and now it's been denied. That's really going to hurt ThorZaIN. What ThorZaIN is doing is also has this medivac in the top left though. But look at this, we already had collective amounts of units outside mOoNan's base, and especially around that third command center, 2 Vikings. So ThorZaIN looking in a bit of trouble now.
Yeah, ThorZaIN did not start off well. I think this is the real problem with ThorZaIN. ThorZaIN is the kind of guy that likes to prepare, and that's not just in the case of preparing before matches, it's preparing during matches. He wants to know what his opponent has. If he's going to go in blind, he does some fairly foolish things, like say that Banshee, and then the Raven blind. I mean, that's a lot of gas invested early on for something you really don't know a lot about.
And now we do have the drop from ThorZaIN. Stimming in, will he be able to do that? And all the units have moved out.
Oh my!
Now.
There we go, a vicious counterattack right here by ThorZaIN as he drives his way into the mineral line and guns down a good number. He denies that mining for quite some time, and of course the medevac will give him the edge in this particular fight. He's stimming again. It's a little bit risky, but obviously he's timed that well. The tank coming in right there and eventually annihilated, but that was a good little bit of damage done right there.
And it looks like he is going to unsiege at the same time, ThorZaIN, and can stim and unsiege and basically attack move into this, I think. Although he does have the Viking advantage here. I thought they were moments, but they are ThorZaIN, so he can see, even though a scanner's gone down, Dex down the first, all the Vikings as well.
Yeah, a little bit of missed micro right there by ThorZaIN, who could have pulled that out a little bit quicker, but it doesn't matter too much. mOoNan took a lot of damage on that Sea Shank, but it's not down yet. And I think that's the main thing to consider. He was actually forced to pull that back just a little bit. And in the meantime, while he's holding it here with a few Siege Tanks and a Viking, he is able to roll out to intercept this force by mOoNan.
It's very smart, yeah.
Good stuff. Oh, freebies! That's my favorite kind of Viking. ThorZaIN guns down 2 as mOoNan just rolls over them without a care in the world.
And because he's got this Viking count advantage, mOoNan is actually having to use a lot of scans, which is hurting his economy. And ThorZaIN now pulling back into this. He's going to go for a flank maneuver too and come from behind and the front at the same time. And there's only 2 siege tanks now, and this should be easily cleaned up for ThorZaIN here.
Yeah, ThorZaIN is back in the fight. There's no question about that one, and that's to be expected from a player of the caliber of ThorZaIN. There's a good charge, and here's the cleanup from the side. You are not getting out of there alive.
Yeah, very nice cleanup by ThorZaIN. And now mOoNan does have a slight economic advantage. He does have the third command center up and will be able to get an orbital command, but he did lose a lot of SCVs to that drop though, which is why the SCV count is a little bit lower here. And now it looks like ThorZaIN is going to try and take his own third base and get that up and running.
Should be able to do that just fine, I would think. The army count is looking very nice right here for ThorZaIN. He actually still has that Raven, if you can believe it. It's still hanging around, and I don't really know what it's going to do. But to be fair, it might be able to shut down those Vikings, so that'll be quite nice. We'll see. mOoNan rolling out, and he's got a drop coming in. He kind of postures in the way that he might want to take this fourth right here, but he can't do that right now. So he's already taken his third, however.
Yeah, and he needs to start mining mining from that ASAP. He has a lot of gas because he lost so many SCVs. His resource balance is a little bit out now. 100 minerals versus 800 gas. He needs to really start mining a lot of minerals ASAP. 1+1 upgrade now is finished for ThorZaIN. 1-1 almost finished now for mOoNan. Slight advantage, but here comes this drop, as you talked about. And 2 drops are going to go and pass each other here.
Yes. Hello. Yes, a little contrary greeting between the two. How are you doing today? Oh, it's fine. What? Right, mOoNan, drop in the base and do some damage. The pleasantries have ended, and I think that's going to get cleaned up by ThorZaIN, but he's going to have to pull some SCVs to make that happen. He brings the SCV, he brings the medevac down, but he loses all his Marines in the process. That's a little bit less than ideal. ThorZaIN getting nailed down right here by mOoNan, and ThorZaIN finally, he was loath to do it, but he had to eventually. And in the meantime, we've got this drop by ThorZaIN right here, passing over the third base of mOoNan, and decides to drop it right there. Looked a little bit distracted right there.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he knew that third base was up, so that's probably why he went all the way around. But now does put this down. How many SCVs can he kill? At the same time, though, we have mOoNan with a great position in the main base of ThorZaIN. Now sieging up there, sieging a lot of damage onto this production.
Yep, a lot of damage indeed. That's one barracks coming down right now. It's a good position as well. Elevating the Marines, very smart play considering he's then backed up by the siege tanks. So flanking this is very hard as a direct result of the way the terrain is set up. Now, of course, some economic damage was done to mOoNan, but he's not too far behind, really. It's 54 SCVs to 62 and 2 mules in the field as well. So mOoNan is not too worried about his economy.
Yeah, and that's an orbital command there for mOoNan on that third base. It's only a planetary fortress for ThorZaIN, so he's going to get that advantage from the mules. And actually, there isn't too many units here for mOoNan on this positional advantage here. I mean, ThorZaIN, if he knew about it, could quite easily go in and clean this up, but he doesn't really know too much what is there, as the radius of the sensor tower doesn't really cover too much area.
No, it does not. That's, he's not entirely sure. I mean, he's certainly got to think about it, but right now, you see mOoNan is actually going to go move and actively deny this fourth base from ThorZaIN, and the command set at 50% and falling rapidly. Interception is required immediately in order to save that one. mOoNan decides to move in after the production facilities instead, pulling SCVs off the line, taking big siege shelling as well. ThorZaIN's actually in a pretty terrible position here, simply because of how many units he's having to throw away in order to defend this. Admittedly, mOoNan did misplace those tanks, so ThorZaIN will be able to repulse this, but that's a lot of damage done nonetheless.
Meanwhile, ThorZaIN did drop that third base once again. It was cleaned up by Marines and siege tanks by mOoNan, who was waiting there for him. Though, as you said, a lot of damage done now. And it's kind of equalizing up for both players. 107 supply for ThorZaIN, 127 for mOoNan. Got a slight advantage now, upgrade advantage as well. He has double engineering base, who's going to get that +2 too soon for his infantry. And now this base is being denied by the single Marine.
Damn you, get away, get away. Finally it will. How did that live? There he goes. Never mind. Whatever the case, ThorZaIN did take a lot of SCV punishment there. He really, really did. He actually dropped behind mOoNan, and he had about a 10 to 15 lead before that. So that was a very damaging attack, even though both sides lost a lot in terms of everything else.
And nice position here by ThorZaIN, and mOoNan does scan and see exactly what's going on. And nice position on the lower ground too. Not really any holes at the moment. I guess the biggest hole is probably going directly into ThorZaIN's main, which it looks like mOoNan might be able to lift up and go in here and do a lot of damage to the production.
He should be able to elevate right here, and that's exactly what he's looking to do. He's actually got a tank in there as well, so he'll deploy at the bottom and then put a tank at the top as well to give him some extra visibility and some extra firepower. He's going to keep the tank mobile for the time being. Of course, they do higher damage to single targets, and right now ThorZaIN has to respond to this, otherwise he will end up losing his entire base, and that is not an ideal position to be in.
Yeah, and he's going to lose both these engineering bays. as well. And if he loses this base, he's going to lose all his production. He'll have no factories left. He does have 4 barracks, but a counter-attack here.
Yeah, but he lost so much in the process, and now mOoNan with a bit of splitting of his own cleans up a large force of tanks, but ThorZaIN does have a lot of tanks mobile. In the meantime, though, it doesn't matter. He just took so much economic damage in the process. GG, ladies and gentlemen. What a nice comeback there by mOoNan.
Yeah, really nice play, and great positional play from mOoNan throughout that game. Even though ThorZaIN was going for brute force there rather than positional, couldn't quite match up to the awesome positions of mOoNan throughout there. And I mean, 2-2 Marines now versus 2-0 for mOoNan versus ThorZaIN, plus these siege tanks in great location covering the ramp as these units were going to go up. There's pretty much no way he could defend his main and lose all his production, unfortunately.
Yeah, ThorZaIN really did charge into more of madness right there, and there was nothing left of the Marines once they actually got into engagement range. mOoNan had exceptional tank positioning there. It really was absolutely fantastic. Overlapping fields of fire, very unpleasant. Not what you want to walk into, and that actually equalizes the series 1 apiece in this best of 5. So there you go. And ladies and gentlemen, you are watching the IGN Pro League Season 2 with myself, DoubleBiscuit.
And myself, the Apollo.
More TVT action coming up very soon. Don't go anywhere.